All right, guys, welcome back to another live stream. Let me just go ahead and make sure audio is working here. We'll get started. Here we go. Here we go. Let me just let this ad play. Also, welcome everybody. Looks like we got 5 people so far in the chat below. All right, audio is working just fine. We are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and make sure the chat's running here. Blender Kid _ Blender. Good to see you. How are you? All right, so guys, nice little Saturday live stream for you here. So today I'm going to experiment with a few different things. I just want to talk about what we did in the last section of our live stream. So let's go back to our terrain generator. So as you guys remember, in Blender, we can actually create some pretty complex things, right, using displacement. We talked about this before. This is just using some texturing, right, like some noise textures, which is really cool. And I'm using a different mouse here, so if I'm a little slow, that's why I'm not really used to this mouse yet. It's a nice mouse. It's like just your standard wireless mouse, but not quite used to it yet, so it'll take some time. My other mouse just kind of stopped working. I don't know why. But yeah, so this is what we were working on last time. And this, let me just show you guys the nodes for this because it's pretty simple. It might not look simple if you're new to geometry nodes, but let me just go ahead and explain it. All right, do this. Hold on. Oh my goodness, it's going a little slow here on me. All right, so we have a couple noise textures being fed into each other. We're splitting the Z out of that, and then we're scaling those into a set position. And what that does is it basically just takes a grid and it scales all these individual points. Let me go ahead and make my face smaller here because you guys don't really want to see that. And you get something that looks like this. And when we go into rendered view here, you can see that we kind of added some texturing here. I love doing this and I love messing around with the actual texturing. We're going to do this with a video today. So we're gonna do like the same thing, but with a video, and it's going to look really, really cool. And I'm going to show you kind of like how that works. Again, you can kind of swap any image in here just to kind of like mess around with the texturing. We were messing around with a few of these earlier. I don't think we ever tried this one. Pretty wild looking. Again, this is just kind of like something fun that you can create in Blender, but here we go. We're going to hop right into it. So let's go ahead and make a new project. Let's delete everything and add a cube, and then we'll hop right into geometry nodes. You're wireless too? Yeah, I know. Your second, greetings from Brazil. Awesome, good to see you. Do I ever do photogrammetry stuff? Not really, not particularly, no. But I'm familiar with the topic. I don't really do it myself. So, all right, let's go ahead and add a grid in here in our geometry node setup. Oh my God, I am not used to this mouse at all. This mouse is so, for some reason, just so much different. I don't know if it's the speed of which it's moving. Probably not. All right, so we have our grid, right? And obviously, guys, as you know with the grid, right, it has a certain amount of segments we can adjust right here, right? So we kind of ideally want like an even amount. So I'll just do 50 by 50 for now. I'm going to go ahead and save this as video displacement. Okay, and let's just kind of go over what the displacement does again so that we can kind of understand like a fundamental level of what's going on here. So we're going to need a set position node here. And right now, all a set position node is it moves, all it does is it like moves something, right? It's pretty simple. But if we take this offset and we plug in like a noise texture, right, like this, okay, now we're getting something that looks kind of like this, right? We're starting to get that noise actually affecting our geometry. But right now it's affecting it on every axis, which we don't want. So in order to specifically say which axis we want, we can just do combine X, Y, Z. And we can just tell it what axis. In this case, I just want the Z axis to be affected. And so now that's what's being affected here. So we can like scale it up, scale it down. Now this also works with images. All right, so let me show you what I mean. If we get an image texture in here, right, instead of our noise texture, I can open up any image that I want to. I'll just go to my downloads to show you kind of how this works. I got to find an image first. So, all right, let's use, this is a good one. This one we used last time. So we're just going to use this image of like a depth map here. Now you'll see that we're actually getting that displacement from that map. Let me go ahead and give us more vertices so you can really see this. And what we're going to do is we're going to scale this down. We're going to do a vector scale. Vector scale. We'll add that in right here. We can just scale it down just a little bit so you can really see what's going on. And now you'll see that we start to get some displacement from the image, which is super cool. And the higher this count is, like we do 400 by 400, the more detailed it is as well. And then this is when you can get into like remeshing and things like that and smoothing. Now we know that this works, right? We know that it looks really good. It's an image, right? We can scale it up and down, which is really cool. But what if we were to add a video into this? Now I've done this before with oh my god, what is it called? I can't think of it. Dynamic paint, and it kind of works a little bit. And I've also done it before with like regular displacement modifier. But let's go ahead and let's add something in here that would be a little bit more detailed. Let's try this let's try this wave thing here. There we go. All right, so what we have to do is now, instead of repeat, actually it might not work in geometry nodes. Let's take a look. Oh, look. Oh my gosh, wait, hold on. Now I know how we can do this. So I'm going to pull up the timeline here, and then see how we can choose the frame. So I'll start on frame 1. If I just add the frame, the scene time, and I plug it in here, I'm not a genius, but I think if I scrub through, now it'll play back. So let's set this to something low so it doesn't lag. So now look how our video is playing on our grid. Let me bump this down even more. So again, I don't want to lag anything here. How cool is that? So we're actually getting our video to affect the displacement, which is super awesome. How interesting, right? I find this stuff so cool. I'll show you another example. So these are just some stock videos I have from whatever. I don't even know what they were used for. Let's take a look here. Let's try this one. I think this is a water drop. Let's go back. So cool. Is everybody seeing this? How cool this is? This is just like a video that's fed into our displacement for geometry. And this is looking really interesting. Let's try a few more. Oh, so cool. You should be able to take the vector and I guess like modify it so that it's scaled properly. If we extend this though, here, let's do 5 and 5. If we extend this, there we go. You can kind of see like the actual video happening here. So cool. And we're getting like real displacement from the video. Yeah, this is really interesting. All right, let's try another video. Let's see what this one does. I think this is just like an intro animation. Whoa. Wild. I don't know what that is. All right, let's try one more and then we'll get into some other topics. Let's see what this one is. Whoa. That's pretty cool. I do think the one water droplet was the coolest. We'll try one more. This is like traffic here. Now, this is going to need an ultra high density to actually work, but you can see that the traffic is moving. And this is based on a real video of overhead traffic. We'll try the koi pond last, and then we'll go back. So cool. There we go. A little quicker there. Look at that. You can literally see the fish swimming. Let me just scale that up a little bit so you can really see it. And we'll make this, there we go. We'll make it 0.15. There we go. All right, ready? You can literally see the fish swimming. That's pretty cool. So you're basically turning a video into like a 3D effect, which is super awesome. And here's what I think is really cool. On top of this, right, we can add our smooth modifier on top of this. We'll just repeat it 20 times. And then we'll play this. And look, you can kind of see like the actual fish in the water here. How cool is that? Now it's a little slow. When you bake it out, it would look a lot better. But I mean, you literally have like your koi fish like swimming through. Like I can clearly identify that this is a koi fish right here. How interesting is that? Something tell me to pay a little more detail could get down to scientific, like tracking millions of geo movement. Yeah, I mean, so this is like, I mean, this is hefty on the computer, right? Obviously. I don't really have any other videos to test it. Let me see if I have any of my old animations in here that we can plug in, like an actual video file that I've made. Let's take a look here. There's a lot of them. I do have quite a few. These are like static. I wonder if it would work with a GIF. I wonder if that would work. Let's see. Let me just go through here and see what I have. So many. Just so many like random. Oh, here we go. This one right here is a particle simulation. I think that would slow it down though. Let's see. Oh, let's try this one. This is a big animation though. Like this is like there's a lot of frames to this. Hold on. This is gonna look cool though because the actual simulation itself is really interesting. Oh, so cool. Oh my gosh. So interesting. I got to show you the original video to this first, and then we'll get back into geometry nodes. But guys, listen, real quick though, if you are in the chat, first of all, comment, tell me how you're doing, and second of all, let me know what you would like to see in this live stream, because this is kind of going to be a free-for-all a little bit. I didn't have anything particularly planned. We're just going to kind of hop into geometry nodes and anything like node related. All right, where is this animation here? All right, here's one. This one's pretty cool. This is like a particle simulation. I'll let this play on loop so we can talk about it. So really all this one was a this was like a turbulence force field and a particle simulator with like millions of particles. Yeah, this one was pretty cool. And then I put this glass orb in the middle. So these are just like some fun renders that that I'll like work on just like on the side, just to kind of experiment, like try new ideas. But this was one of the ones that I worked on that I thought came out pretty cool. And I added motion blur, added some nice depth of field, some nice like lighting coming in from the side here, as well as like just a nice little background. So like this is something we could like play around with, you know, like particle physics like this. But the one I was looking for, where is it? Oh, here it is. This is the one I was looking for. This is the one I just applied to our displacement modifier. What was I doing here? I have no idea. But I thought it looked kind of cool. Just kind of like this explosion of strings. There's so many things that I've worked on that like as I look back, I'm like, this was pretty neat. Like this was a concept I could definitely see myself exploring, right? Just to shout out our B here, our B logo from Superhive, right? It's a great platform as well. You see like there's some really nice little detail in here. This was just like a simple like hair modifier, nothing crazy. What really sells this one and sells the effect here is the lighting, really is what's going to sell that effect. A lot of the times you can make or break something just by having good or bad lighting. Like, let's see, is there an animation here? Oh, yeah. I mean, there's, oh my God, there's so many good ones in here. This is when we were messing around with smoke. Oh, so cool. Love that. All right. So, guys, comment down below what you want to see. We have a lot of options. We have physics. We have geometry nodes, particle physics, smoke, fluid, you name it. This was something we did on one of the live. I think, was this a tutorial or a live stream? No, this was a, where is the original one? Here it is. This was from an old live stream where we did like a smoke simulation. This was cool because we also messed around with like the shader part of it too. Oh no, who said they only see a black screen? Oh no. No, you should, hopefully, does anyone else see a black screen? I hope you guys don't. Everything should be working properly. But yeah, this was a smoke simulation that we made. This was, oh, this is so cool. I love this stuff. It takes forever to bake, but once you finally get it to like properly go through, I mean, the effect is fantastic. I like to compress it down a little bit too. It really isn't like the highest quality. Like I do wish the smoke was like better quality in terms of like the actual particles and whatnot, but ultimately this came out nice. Like I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with this result. Here was another version of that same animation, but with like slightly different. This was like slightly different like shader. Oopsies, let me play this back on loop. There we go. This is a slightly different shader. You can see that it's just a pink smoke shader. It's not like anything too crazy. Oh, just so cool. I just love this stuff. I don't know. I love it. Do something displacement based on geometry proximity mod. Oh yeah, the proximity node. That one's pretty cool. I don't mess around with that one too much, but I will say that it is a powerful node, like if you know how to use it. I don't know how to use it as well as like everyone else does, but all right. All right, let's make a new project here. All right, so I'm just gonna add in a cube. All right, guys. Go over to geometry nodes here as usual. New geometry node setup, and he wanted to use the geometry proximity. Okay. All right, let's see if I remember. See if I remember how to do this here. Set position, and let's do a grid here. We'll start it off with a grid. Keep it simple. All right. We'll do like a 5 by 5, and we'll do 100 by 100 vertices. And then based on the proximity of another object, so I'll just put in like a sphere. Scale it down, move it up, and then I'll pop my sphere in here. This will be the object that we're like targeting. So I'll take that. Based on the position, I believe we can determine the offset. Why is this being weird? Oh, relative, there we go. So we're not using a map range, but normally you would. So right now you can see that I have the, I have our sphere, and it's kind of giving this weird like offset to our geometry. That's cool. If you do position, it just kind of follows the position of that. All right, so what we want to do is we want to use offset. Now, we can also scale this, so I can do like vector scale. I don't really use this node a lot, so I don't understand fully how it works, but we'll try this. Looks like you can scale it more or less. And then also, again, the more vertices we have, the smoother this should become. But also, if we look, like, the reason it looks so weird right now is because we don't have a subdiv on this. The more geometry we have with our sphere, I believe the more realistic, like, the displacement's going to be. Or, like, the, well, quote-unquote displacement, even though it's really not displacement. Do you have any stylized smoke with geometry nodes? I don't really do geometry nodes smoke. I haven't really done that ever, but that does sound cool. Request, please make a video showing your routine or day in the life as an animator. Oh, okay. We can definitely do something like that. So I'll be honest, this is not my like full-time job at all. This is just something I do for fun on the side. So I by no means make as much money as I used to. Now I used to be like, this was like I did client work like this. But I don't really do that as much anymore. I'm just curious what would happen if I did. Oopsies. I'm curious what would happen if I did this. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of more like what I wanted to happen. I didn't realize that would work that nicely if I did that. Let me just see something. Points. Yeah, let's do faces. There we go. So again, I'm moving this. Now I think if I remember, you can do a map range. Let's see if I do this properly. I don't remember exactly how this works. I think this has to do with like where it's being affected. Whoa. It's not my favorite node. I feel like the map range node, I definitely do not fully understand. Like, I know that this proximity is affecting our plane, but I don't fully understand like exactly how it's working. Although I will say this is pretty interesting. And you could combine this with a noise texture as well. One thing I will say about my like daily routine is it doesn't always involve Blender. As much as I love Blender, it doesn't always involve Blender. I kind of wish it did. Like I teach Blender at school sometimes, but overall, like most of the client work that I've done is just like older projects. Like if you like, I can pull up some of those old client projects and show you. But by all means, this is not my full-time job. Nope. But I do love it. I love Blender. Absolutely love Blender. Yeah, I definitely do not understand the map range node. All right, we're going to try something new though. Let's go ahead and add a cube. Let's go to geometry nodes. Now, one of the cool things we can do is we can like populate anything we want inside of a cube or inside of any other shape. And we can kind of create like a styrofoam texture. I've done this before, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So here's what's cool though, is we'll do it with the cube so I can show you how this works. So we'll just do a mesh to volume, right, which will quite literally convert it to a volume. And then we'll go ahead and do a distribute points in volume. All right, now I'll have a bunch of points. We'll raise that density a bunch, and then we'll instance onto those points so that we can make them not points, but like a shape. I'll just do a sphere. I'll do an icosphere for now, keep it super simple just so we can see what's going on. Now you'll notice they're way too big, so let's go ahead and adjust the radius there. Now already we kind of have this cube of like icospheres, right? So what's cool about this is we can now take those and realize those instances and then cut around. But the first thing I want to do here is I do want to adjust a few of these values. Let's go ahead and adjust the density. There we go. All right, so now we have something that looks a little bit better. We have our density adjusted. Now I want to go ahead and realize these instances. Not like you realize something in real life, like, oh, I realized that. No, it's not like that. It's like you're making them real. Like you can actually edit this mesh now. And what we want to do is we want to add a boolean. A mesh boolean. There we go. We'll add that mesh boolean, and then we'll take the difference of that and the cube. But let me save this because this is going to crash if I don't do this right. Styrofoam. Let's see if I can spell it. Did I spell that right? I think I did. We'll see. All right, so our group input was our original cube. So we're going to cut the outside, but we're going to use a manifold for this. Instead of difference, we're going to do not intersect. I'm sorry. We are going to do intersect. See how that works. There we go. Okay, so that worked the way that I wanted it to. However, it doesn't look quite right. So I'm going to see what I can do about this. There we go. All right, so notice how now it looks like there's a bunch of spheres that are inside of our cube, but they're kind of like smushed up against the edge. And that's because we're cutting them off at the edge because we're creating a union with our cube. But this is really cool because you can do like really cool stuff with that. Like if you apply a like shader to this and some cool lighting, you can get something really interesting here. Hey, thanks for all your info. When will you teach us how to make realistic facial animation like your reel? Like my reel? I have a reel with realistic facial animation. If you're talking about a CG cookie reel, I don't run that channel. I don't run this channel. I live stream on this channel. Like that CG cookie has me live stream on here. But whatever you are talking about, if you drop a comment on this video, I'm sure they'll respond and let you know. So that's not something I really cover. But I wish I could because that sounds really cool. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to our rendered view. I'm going to add an area light. All right, we'll go ahead and bring that up here. Scale it up a little bit. We're going to give this just like some power here. Let's give it 500. Oops, that's a little too much. We'll do 200. That looks a little bit better. Go ahead and bring it off to the right here. Kind of give it a nice little angle. Perfect. Now we have some like decent lighting. Sometimes I like to adjust this like spread amount. I don't want it to be like too diffused. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to give this a material. Now you'll notice when I change the color of the material, it does work, but sometimes you have to still set the material in here. Now, in this case, it worked fine, but every now and then it won't. All right, instead of an icosphere, I want a regular sphere because I want this to be much more detailed. Let's lower those segments and slowly raise them up. We're going to need more than 4. Let's try 10. Hold on. Let's go back to solid view. Let's try 10, 10, and then for the radius, I don't know, what did I have, 0.2? There we go. All right, 0.2 looks good. Now let's try 0.15. All right, that looks good. And let's raise these up to 15 and 15. Perfect. And then shade smooth. Now you're gonna get some weird like artifact looking things on the edge. Let's see how this looks. It does look a little strange. One of the things we can do to fix this, I believe, is just adding more segments. Let's try that. Did that help at all? Not quite. All right, we can come back to that. But this is already starting to look interesting, right? We have this kind of like, almost this like Kellogg's like pop cereal mix type of thing going on here, which is really cool. And then I'll go over, we can also talk about like how to make all of this like different, all these things like different colors. This already looks so interesting. That's kind of it. See, like I kind of like starting to become interested in this. This kind of like material we have here. Let's add an HDRI. Let's just kind of see like what we can make this thing look like. Let me just turn off the area light for just a second here. I just kind of want to see. I want to play around with this sort of composition that we have. I love just like, and I also just love creating like simple things. Like you guys know me, like I am, well, most of you know me now if you've been watching the live stream for long enough. All right, I'm just going to make kind of like a little stage back here. Nothing too crazy, just like a little box. All right, good. Okay, I'm also gonna make this like, I'm just gonna kind of give this like a darker material with like a high roughness. And I wanna add a camera to our scene so we can kind of see what's going on. So let's go back into rendered view here. Let's add a camera. Okay, I'll go to my top-down view. Just kind of rotate my camera this way a little bit. See where our camera's looking here. Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. Now for our camera, we're going to kind of go here and maybe make it orthographic. Let's just see what that looks like. That looks pretty cool. Interesting so far. I'm happy with what we have so far. A lot of the times, though, I do like an object to be like kind of sitting on the floor. So that's something we can adjust in the future. Not in love with the material. So let me just adjust this roughness a little bit. That's cool. All right, let's like really max this thing out in terms of like how many things we can have in here. So let's do 5 and 5. Let's really adjust the density here. And let's adjust the radius to 0.1. Let's go ahead and adjust the density to 30. And let's try this. I just want to see what we can come up with here. I love playing with the numbers. I love it. That's interesting. And now we can go back in here and we can make these like random colors as well. Maybe the bevel will remove the artifacts. Oh yeah, you could oh, like a bevel on the cube. It's not a terrible idea if that's what you're talking about. Not a terrible idea. All right, let me see something here. Ooh, I like that a lot better. Let me bring that area light back. I want to bring the area light back, and I want to, now I have some ideas for like what we can do here. Because now that I'm seeing this on a white background, I'm thinking about it a little bit differently. Like I'm really thinking about like a harsh shadow from above. turn our overlays back on. Kind of thinking about this like harsh shadow, like kind of something like this. And this doesn't have, you guys don't have to do what I'm doing. I'm gonna lower the world's like intensity. So I just lowered that to a strength of like 0.2. Now I want to take my area light. I kind of want it to come from this side. See, I love that. I love that. It's like very subtle, right? And then we can take our background and we kind of start messing around with these colors here as well. Just see what the roughness would look like. Now keep it a high roughness. I kind of like that it's like a white background, but I kind of like this like intense lighting as well. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna adjust the spread of the light, but I'm gonna add an obstruction in front of the light, just kind of like play with this like composition, because I do find it pretty interesting. And then we'll come in here and we can make all these like random colors and things like that. It is crazy how much the color like drastically changes like what we're looking at. Like right now I'm thinking about like, what if it was red and blue? It was kind of like this scientific thing, right? And I just need to quickly go back here. What did I say I was going to do? Oh, right. I said I was going to make an obstruction. So let's make an obstruction real quick for this. This is pretty simple to do. I'm just going to add a cube in here. You guys probably already know what I'm doing with this, right? I'm going to scale it. I'm just going to make these kind of like arrayed fins that are going to kind of sit in front. They're going to kind of sit in front right here, right? Like this. So they're going to sit in front and they're going to block the light from coming in. And in order to really get this done, we'll just make an array. Okay? Like an array like this. Oopsies. Perfect. Why is this being weird? Object, apply, rotation and scale, I guess. Why are you being so weird, bro? Hold up, bro's being weird. You know what? I'll just do this in edit mode. Screw it. All right, I just want to see what this looks like. Why is it being weird? Oh, I know why it's being weird, because we need to adjust the lighting, the angle, I believe. Hold on. This needs to be way, way higher. Here we go. There we go. Perfect. All right, so notice now how the light is like broken up a little bit. It's kind of how I want it to be. And then we can also adjust this right here. So perfect. Now I'm going to go to this view here. Rotate that a little bit. I'll go to this view, give it like one of these. That's kind of like exactly what I'm looking for. All right, you guys kind of see what I'm going for now. Kind of have this like broken light. It's not perfect, but it is what I'm looking for ultimately. And if you want this background to, you also can go to this background. You can click on that and you can like rotate it on the Z axis. Like if you're looking for something that's more like this, you can also do that as well. And what I'm doing there is I'm rotating the background so that the way that the light reflects is just like ever so slightly different. And I think it looks cool. All right, let's go ahead and do this random coloring here. Let's see if I remember how to do this random coloring. So right here, before we realize the instances, I believe I can say set material. And when I set the material, I just want to see if this even works at all. Oh, we can't. We got to set the material after. Hold on, let me think. Let's see if I can do the mesh island technique. Let's do set material. Perfect. All right, this is where we'll set it. Let's see if this even works at all. Let's see if I remember how to make this work, because I've done this before, but it's been a minute. So the mesh island basically takes like a mesh island is like an isolated mesh. It means like a mesh that's on its own. So all these spheres should technically be like on their own. None of them should be merged together. And then we'll just use a random value. And I believe we plug in the island index, because each one has its own index. And then what we do is we do a stored name attribute right here. And then instead of float, we'll do color. Or I'm sorry, hold on. I'm really thinking this through here. Let's try it. I think it's color. And then you just move. Oh my gosh. No. Whatever. All right, I'll move all this over here. It's fine. This can stay in there. All right, and then this random value will be fed into this value. But instead of color, I think we'll just do a float. I'm pretty sure this is how this works. And then I just need to name this rand color, whatever I want to. And then I'll go back into the shading tab. I'll go here. I'll type in attribute. See if I remember how to, see if I actually remember how to do this. And now for the base color, we could do like a color ramp, right? Let's just see. And I'll do red. I'll do color stops. I'll do constant. And then I think you do, what do you do? Like red and then anything else you want in between. We'll do blue and red to see if this even works. We'll go ahead and type in color, or what did I say? Rand color. Is that how I called? Was that what I called it? Rand color. Yep. Rand color, and then we'll plug in the. I think I did color into the FAC, and then this into this. I did it right. Oh my god, I did it right. I really didn't think it was going to work on the first try. I thought I was going to have to look it up. So now what we can do is we can. I'll just go into render view to show you what this looks like real quick. So in render view, looks really interesting, except for it's a little bit too dark. So I'm going to adjust the hue and saturation here. I'm going to kind of desaturate it a little bit. We'll do 0.8. Oh, it's really dramatic. Oh, I'm adjusting the wrong thing. Oopsies. 0.8. There we go. That's like a little bit better. But what's cool is now we can adjust this. We can decide like how many of these are red, how many are blue, right? Which is really awesome. And then you can kind of adjust this roughness value here, right? You can pretty much make these look whatever you want, which is so awesome. I'm curious what it would look like with the low roughness, but no metallic. You could also just make this like a glossy, like you can make this glossy. It doesn't have to necessarily be metallic shader. You could even make this, I mean, crap, you could even make this subsurface. Let's see what that looks like. Just curious. Scale 10, I don't know. Whoa! Kind of cool looking though. Whoa. That is wild looking. I kind of dig it though. There we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. Boom. I just want to see what would happen if I lower this roughness. They're kind of like see-through now. Kind of looks like, you know what it kind of reminds me of is like one of those medical animations, like something you would see in like a medical animation or like blood cells, right? This is so interesting looking. Let's make it even more interesting. Let's really zoom in with our camera. Like really, really zoom in. And then let's give it a depth of field. Now hold on, I want it to be, let's go into our solid view. Let's enable our depth of field so we can really see what's going on before we go back into rendered view. And I'm just gonna adjust my focus distance. I'm gonna set this to 1, which is like a ridiculous amount, obviously. I'm just gonna adjust my focus distance until I'm about in the front of this. Let me just see, what would a perspective lens look like here? Let's go ahead and adjust our focal point. Wow, that's nice. I like that a lot. This looks really cool. And what I love is it's created with geometry nodes. Now here's what's cool, right? We have this setup, which is awesome. All right. And we're just using a cube. Now imagine that we like make a letter out of this, right? Like we make a letter out of this cube. So let's play with this idea for a second. We have really nice lighting setup. We have really nice materials. Let's go to our modifier and turn it off for a second. Now we just left with our cube, right? Let's go ahead and scale this on the Y. Kind of start by making it like this thinner thing. Let's go back. Let's just see what this looks like real quick, right? So now we have this like thin thing. Now imagine it's a letter, right? So now let's go ahead and turn geometry nodes off again. Now let's go into edit mode and let's make the letter, well, how about we make the letter K for Kenny since, well, I'm the one live streaming here, right? Let's do this. This is just going to be the side of the K. Let's go ahead and duplicate this on the X. And then I'll scale it down, rotate, just bring it right about there. Just going to rotate again, try to get this as close as possible. Oh, I guess this one should be a little bit longer, right? Oh, you know what? I'm so silly. You know what I can do? I can just grab this face, bring it over here. Duh. Why didn't I think of that, guys? Perfect. Well, kind of perfect. Let's just see. Let's see what it looks like. Actually, hold on. I'm not happy with this bottom part here. I'm curious now. Whoa. Oh, right. Hold on. I hit everything else. I didn't mean to. Pretty cool, except I'm not really entirely happy with it because it's not really like filling the space properly. But we can adjust all that stuff in geometry nodes. So hold on a second. I'm just curious, like, here, hold on. Let me rotate this a little bit more. I don't feel like it's really reading like a K to me, so hold on. There we go. That's a little bit better. And now let's go ahead and turn this back on. Let's go to geometry nodes and let's adjust our density and all that good stuff. I feel like there's too much, there's not enough space. Hold on. I'm thinking about like what I can do to this. Hold on. Yeah, I feel like this one here, like this side here, should be like this. There we go. Better, definitely better. Let's see now. A little bit better. It still doesn't really look like a K. I feel like we would almost need to make it like an S and then make the sphere smaller. So now I'm like, do I even really like this render anymore? Hold on. Coffee break. Good. Okay, we're good. We're back, guys. We're back in business. All right. So in terms of making this look a little bit better, let's adjust our density of this. Right now, it looks good, but it's definitely not dense enough. And you know what? Object applies scale. I guess I didn't do anything. All right, that's fine. All right, let's do this. There we go. There we go. Let's try that. It definitely reads as a K a little bit, but I still don't. Guys, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't love it. I don't love it. You know what? Let's try a different letter because now we can just apply this to anything we want. So let's actually add a real text letter like here, hold on, I'll show you. All right, let's add a real text letter. Let's just go to Shift A text. And let's bring this up so we can like see it, scale it up. S. Now, what would be a good letter that would show up really well? Well, I got all the letters in front of me. Let me take a look. If you're going to use cycles, point clouds is the more efficient method to render instead of instant sphere. Interesting. I might have to look into that. Thank you. Image retracted. Message retracted. Let's try. Oh my God, there's so many letters to choose from. I just don't know. Oh, you brought your message back. Let's try S. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, guys. We'll just go to geometry. We'll go to extrude. We'll give it some extrusion here. Convert to mesh. All right. Let's just bring this down to our, oh my God. That just made me like disoriented right there. Is that, you guys ever like accidentally do something in Blender and like you're suddenly very disoriented? Me too. Me too. Input was non-manifold. Let's do a remesh. Let's give it smooth. And let's convert to mesh. Let's add geometry nodes. And now let's try it. Let's see if it works. Ah, there we go. Object apply scale to. We're going to need to do that. Object apply scale. There we go. Much better. Now let's hide this one. Bring this one into our scene. I just want to see what this looks like. That's a little bit better. Still like not quite what I was looking for, but that's fine. Now let's go in here and let's press A. And then let's kind of make our camera like pinpoint on that object. Still kind of interesting. Not entirely like in love with it, but What do you guys think? Be honest. Drop a comment. Like, I don't love it, but again, there's definitely like something powerful here, like that's happening. It's pretty cool. Let me adjust my area light. Just want to see what like a higher. Yeah, that's better. That looks a lot better now that we have that in there. Like just like a higher power of like the actual lighting itself. Let's see for our area light. Let's see what happens if I do this. Notice the difference, right? Much more intense and like intentional, but this is much more like spread out and like kind of evens out the shot. Let's see what happens if I denoise this. Ugh. Definitely don't want to be denoising that. This looks so cool though. It does make me think of like something medical, right? It definitely makes me think of that. Let's go back to our we could go back to a cube. I kind of just honestly like, if I'm being quite honest, I really liked just the cube. Well, not the K, but the cube itself. So let's go back because I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna add a cube back. Guys, we're back. We're back to our original render. See how we're looking here. And we're gonna adjust our focal point here. Better. Now we're really back to like what we originally had. And I do like this because I feel like it's so much more readable. Readable? I don't know. Either way, I'm absolutely loving this. I'm pretty happy with it. I do think there's a lot more we can do with it though. Someone said, what GPU do you have? I have an RTX 3070 Ti with an Intel i9 and a it's like some kind of Asus motherboard, 128 gigabytes of RAM, and a 2 terabyte hard drive. I think I got it all. I think that was everything. Let's. I do kind of want to play around with these colors too. Oops, did not mean to do that. You could do like a nice light blue. Kind of adds to the dynamic of the scene. But if you did keep it neutral, I'm just curious what like a darker color would look like. Even like just like a light gray. Notice how it just dramatically changes everything. And now obviously, of course it does. But I think a lot of people, they're just like looking for like a one-click render. And it's just like not how it works. Mainly because they're missing out on all the experimentation. And I think that's, to me, that's the fun part. Like I'm loving like changing these colors up. Like look how much more dramatic this is, right? Let's try this. I just love this. Even like the roughness, like adjusting like our roughness value right here. That didn't actually do. Oops, no, I do not want to keyframe that. This is like a metallic, right? Metallic with like, obviously you can get that reflection on the floor. We're not getting that much right here, but if I was, and look, now this thing looks like it's kind of like floating in the air. Like you could do that kind of effect. I don't mind that, but I want those shadows in there. You know what I mean? Like I want those nice shadows in the background here. And this is really all where it comes down to like personal preference. For me personally, I think it's starting to like kind of get somewhere where I really want it to be. But I think I'm gonna dumb down the depth of field even more. Let's try 0.5. Now let's try 0.4. I know it's intense. I realize this, but I just love the way it looks. Let's really get in here. Hold on. Let's also do 1920 by 1080. And then let's zoom out a little bit. Again, we can make this thing look like it's like kind of sitting on the floor. It really just depends on like the shot that you're going for. I'm at about an 80 mil, so I'll keep it at an 80 mil. Look at how we can dramatically change the lighting right here too. Like really, really dramatically. Let's really look at this now. It's looking really cool. And yes, I know, I realize it's simple, but there is just something interesting about it. Now, you're probably thinking, this is cool, but like, how can we make it even more interesting? One of the things that I'm thinking about is like kind of having this like cube be contained in another cube. Hear me out before you freak out on me. Like walls of glass, like containing this thing, you know? Like almost like it's like this little like experiment. So let's try it. Let's see what it could look like. I'm just gonna kind of turn my overlays back on here. I'm also going to make this random color so we can kind of differentiate between what's going on here. So I'm going to add a cube in. And I am going to give this like a solidify modifier. Give it a little bit of thickness here. Why is this not working? Oh, there we go. So I'm going to give it kind of like a reverse thickness. I'm going to make this glass. I just kind of want to see what we have here so far. Glass. You can already see it's like kind of contained in this cube. I'm going to scale it out just a little bit. Low roughness, we'll do like, I don't know, 1.5 for the glass. And then I'm also going to give this a bevel. Yep, just a very, 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 very slight bevel because I want to break up those edges. Let's see what this looks like. It's already starting to look kind of interesting. Scale this in a little bit. I want these things to look like they're touching the edge. Yep, that looks a lot better. It's cool. Now, let me just show you because I want you to see if we play around with this kind of glass material here, and I'm actually wanting to pull this color up a little bit lighter, a little more roughness. Yep. So now the glass is a little more like apparent, right? Now to make this glass even more apparent, we could add a panel above that. That's called like a reflector panel. I don't really go into that stuff as much because it's like intense, but we will go ahead and adjust our contrast. We'll do like a medium high contrast here. Now with our glass selected, right now we're at a 1.5 IOR. Let's try like a 2.0. Ooh, now it's really contained. Let's try 1.6. See how we're looking here. Yep, it's looking good. It's like a nice contained thing here. I want to kind of adjust this bevel a little bit. It's looking good, but now you can see things are cutting through, and I do not want that. 0.06, let's try 0.04. And then for the bevel, 0.03. Scale this out a little bit more because we don't want. Am I touching the wrong cube here? Wait, hold on a second. Oh, I was adjusting the wrong thing there. Oh, I didn't realize these were popping through like this. I do not want that. Wait a second. No, I want this to be. This should be the container that sits right about there. Notice how like the edge, we don't want it to overlap. You're going to get like some dramatically different results if it does. Look, we're already getting some clipping here. So I'm going to scale this in just a little bit. See what that looks like. Still getting some clipping. Let me take a look at my light path settings here. For our bounces. Nope, I'm all the way up 20, 20, 20. All right, let me take a look. So here's another cool thing we can do. And I will show you this because this is really interesting. We can actually make this look like it's frosted from the bottom up, which could be really interesting, but I'm still not loving the way this is like, it's not quite pressing up against everything. Let's try that. Trying to see how it looks. Not exactly like what I'm looking for here. Why am I getting such weird artifacts going on here? Here, let's do this. Let's adjust the thickness. Let's try that. That looks like a little bit better. We're still getting some weird things going on here. Let me try adjusting our lighting as well. Oh, a little bit too bright. All right, let's take a look at what we have so far. Oh, you know what else I need to do, guys? I'm so silly. I need to go to my side view and make sure this floor is like kind of like touching our glass a little bit. Barely touching. Like I'm talking like we're zooming in here. Not quite perfect, but that's kind of what we want. Give it really that illusion that like all those things are in there. I still don't feel like they're like pressed up against the side enough. Did we do something weird with like the scaling? Like why is this so off? Why does it feel like slightly off? Oh, it is slightly off. Oopsies. Let's try that. So much experimentation, but I love it. This is starting to look okay. I'm not like 100% on it, but I do think it looks good. And it's this nice like contained thing. And now let's do like a nice like frosted glass to the bottom. This is where we can really have some fun because of course this is the node dojo. We should be teaching about nodes. So again, we can adjust the roughness right here, which is cool. You can tell like it's really, really interesting looking. But what if we wanted it to look like almost like it was like frozen from the bottom up. Well, how do we do that? Let's do a color ramp. All right, we're going to need that. We're going to need a mix shader. And we're going to need 2 of these glass guys. We're going to need one here and one here. Now, one of these is going to have a high roughness. All right, it's going to be this one. And then we just need to mix the factor with a color ramp. We need to crunch it like this. And then we just need to decide where does that color ramp start and stop. And I'll show you how we do that. We're going to need some mapping. Excuse me. And a texture coordinate right here. Perfect. Now we can decide where does it start and stop. It looks like it starts and stops right here. To easily see that, we can adjust the color ramp so you can see it starts over here. But we just kind of want to rotate this. I never really fully understand like how this rotational like axis works. I don't know if does anyone else like have this issue? Like I don't think Blender has ever fully like these rotations don't make sense. Like to me they don't. Maybe they make sense to you guys. There we go. Like I'm like, why are these rotational values like so strange? Anybody else? No? Maybe I'm the only one. And then look, to make it appear more faded, we just mess around with this. And now when we look in rendered view, the bottom should be like, I don't know, frosted, and then the top will be like that. And if you want it to be more dramatic, you can do something like this here. Oops, maybe like, I'm sorry, the other way. Perfect. And now you have kind of this like frosted bottom side, right? And then you can kind of like adjust the values here and whatnot. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of how you would do something like that. And if you wanted it to be like noisy, you could, I believe you could plug in a noise texture to this side, to the roughness with a color ramp, of course. And yeah, there's your noise. But you're going to want to do that in material preview so you can really see what the noise looks like, right? You can kind of like scale it up, make it look however you want. Right, like this would kind of look like, oh, it's like actually frosted, right? Let's do -45, 135, and this one be. Why is it? See, like, of course, now it's like straight, right? It's like straight up and down, which is kind of what we want. Oh, no, we don't want that. Bro. Nice effect. Yeah, isn't that cool? I think it's cool too. I agree. There we go. All right. So now you kind of have this like frosted glass at the bottom. It almost looks, you know, it almost looks like it's like frozen or something like that, which is pretty cool. All right, let's see how we're doing here. How much time we've been live streaming? About 52 minutes. I would say we probably have about 8 minutes left. This is a cool one though. Like I definitely am pretty happy with this for the most part. Now I kind of still want to play around with that depth of field because I'm crazy. All right, this is a 0.3 depth of field, which is like, I don't know, it's a little ridiculous, but it does look pretty cool. Now, in terms of like the lighting and stuff, like we can still mess around with our lighting. Like let's kind of give this like a darker background. It's kind of like an interesting thing, right? It does look like this sort of almost this like edible food, right? Our noise texture, I'm not really buying it. Like I don't love it, so let's go back real quick. For our noise, for our the bottom here, where is it? Yep, right here. Let's just go ahead and like break this up a little bit. That's like a little bit better. I think you could also plug in like a Voronoi texture. I kind of want to see real quick. Voronoi. Plug that into the vector. Oh, not exactly. You see something here. I'm just curious what this looks like. That's wild looking. Not exactly what I wanted, but ooh, distortion. Oh, there we go. That's kind of like, I feel like that's sort of what I was looking for. Randomness. Wild, bro. Where's the roughness? See how that looks? Not exactly. Not exactly buying that. but it is cool. That's pretty cool looking. I mean, it is cool. All right. If you wanted animating the spheres inside would be a sci-fi feel. Yeah, totally would. That would be a tough one because like of the way that Geometry Nodes like handles this. But either way, regardless, that is such a cool like concept. I think this is looking like really interesting though. I'm like really like I feel like it's visually interesting. It's not too like overly distracting. I still kind of want to like raise this like I'm gonna raise the exposure a little bit because I feel like it's a little bit dark. Medium high contrast is what we're on. I'll keep it on that. Um, this is looking really cool. I feel like it would be nice if we had if the base here or like the background or the floor was almost like tiles. Like I'm kind of feeling like that could pull things together, but I also don't want to like ruin this render. Like it is looking really interesting. I wonder if the coloring, if we add a little bit of like color to the background, if that would make the cube like push forward a little bit. Let me just see. What would like a green look like? Just curious. Not in love with it. It's crazy how much like color can completely change the entire render. So cool. I don't know about you guys, but I just like love messing around with like color, like not like color theory, but like, I probably would do like a very, very like dull blue here. And then I want to point out like the glass, like here, I want to show you something. So like, you guys notice how the glass looks right now. I just want to show you this because this is a really cool concept. We have a plane and we add it above. I want you to watch what happens when I like move this plane down. You can kind of see, hold on, let me rotate it a little bit too. I know you can't see the plane, it's right here. So look at the glass. We can kind of like make this glass like be seen now. Like if I move this back, notice how I'm kind of like revealing that glass on the top. And this is because I'm adding like a reflector panel. And now we can kind of see the top of that glass. I could scale this out a little bit more. Enough where it's like not in the render, like it's in the render right now. Look at that. Now we can kind of like see the top of that glass. Now you don't necessarily have to do this, but this is like a cool technique. And I've used this in like real life, like with real reflectors, like product photography and things like that. So now we can really like see the top of that glass because I thought we were kind of losing, like see where this edge is? We were kind of like losing that edge into the background. And if we didn't want to do that, we could take our reflector, right? We could scale it a little bit, kind of move it over here until we like don't lose that edge anymore. Let me go back. Let me go here. There we go. It's starting to come back a little bit. So notice how now you can kind of see the shadow right here like approaching. But look, we kind of like don't lose that edge as much. And I love this. I love this stuff. See, like if I scale it too much, now we see the plane in the background. But I just thought this was a cool like technique to show you guys. Like obviously it looks ridiculous like outside of camera view, but it kind of gives you an idea of like how the light plays throughout the scene and how we can adjust these things. For a more realistic frost, try to create a snowflake shape in the noise. Ooh, actually, I'll do you one better because I used this technique a while ago. I haven't gotten back around to trying this again. Just delete that. All right, we'll call it this right now. But let me show you guys something. So if I type in frost texture, you're gonna love this. We can actually use an image texture and plug it into what we're working with here. That one should work. Let's find one. I just want to find one that's like, ooh, perfect. Let's try this one. Ooh, excuse me. All right. I don't know that does Blender support WebPs? I forget if it does. All right. Either way, shading tab. Go here. Instead of plugging all this nonsense into the roughness, oopsies, I still need that. We will plug in an image texture. Okay, we'll open up our image texture that I just downloaded. All right, and then what we want to do is adjust this. And we'll adjust the we'll adjust this and the mapping. And I'll show you. We'll keep this plugged in. We'll try a few different images until we get what we like. Now, another thing is the scale. Obviously, we're going to have to adjust the scale. What? What is going on here? Oh, there we go. All right. Scale. We'll adjust it right here. Sorry, I don't need scale. I need a value. There we go. That's pretty cool, except for not exactly what we're looking for. So let me go ahead and find a better image online. What is this? Let's look through. Oh, this is a cool one. Wow, look at that's a high quality one. Let me try this one. Oh, and if you make it black and white, like in your node editor, I believe you can kind of sell the effect just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and change this image out. And this will be the last thing we do, and we'll wrap up this live stream because I'm about to hit an hour here. Oh, looks cool. Hold on. Yeah, okay, so we don't want this to repeat. We want it to not extend, clip. There we go. Then we should be able to, let's adjust the scale here. Cool. And that's kind of like how you would go about doing it. Like not like more or less, like it doesn't have to be perfect. And obviously you can like adjust this value here. It's really up to you, like what your preference is. Like I feel like it looks like not terrible. You can also do like displacement and stuff too to make the ice look like it's like really like on top of there. But this looks, I feel like pretty believable. Like, I don't know, kind of looks like frost to me. It looks like something's going on there. It's not terrible. What do you guys think? What are you making? Just hit Control T. Oh, for Node Wrangler. Yeah. If you wanted to animate the process, Yep. So that's kind of how I would go about doing something like this. We're just kind of making this like abstract render. Overall, I feel like it came out pretty awesome. I'm like pretty pleased with our like overall result. I mean, it's just a fun little render. It's not like there's really like no purpose to this. It's just fun. Well, at least to me it is. To me, it's fun. Let me know what you guys think, though. Drop a comment. I am going to wrap up the live stream here because we've been streaming for about an hour, and I feel like we got some good time in here. I just want to thank you guys for coming out and checking out the live stream. We will be doing this again, hopefully, probably like this coming week at some point. Maybe next Friday is probably what I'm looking at here in terms of my schedule. So, yeah, if you plug an object coordinated with texture mapping, you can help the placement better. Definitely. It does look cool. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm pretty happy with it. You guys can you can experiment with this all day long. I mean, this kind of stuff, I love like setting up it's really like lighting, texturing, materials, good modeling, stuff like that. That goes a long way, right? I know it was a little quicker this time. My goal is to do at least probably about 4 hours a week if I can, at the very most. And anything beyond that, got to make sure I have time for the family, for my job, things like that. But regardless, guys, this has been amazing. I had so much fun creating this with you. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a few new tips and tricks about like shading nodes, geometry nodes, etc. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below, and we will definitely do this again. You guys were awesome. Thank you. Oh, and before I go, one last thing. So sorry, forgot to talk about this. Just want to shout this course out because, again, I am involved with this course. This is the Core Fundamentals of Blender, which is available on Superhive and, of course, CG Cookie. Well, hence CG Cookie, the channel that you're watching on right now. If you haven't already considered this, if you have a membership, you should already have access to this. If you don't, you can sign up for a monthly membership. You can also buy these courses like a la carte. Did I say that right? A la carte. Yep. Like each one individually on Superhive. We have Jonathan Lampel with mesh modeling. Fantastic. Kent with digital sculpting. Jesse Kaizan, who is on YouTube. Get out of here. Like, bro, I'm clearly like, yo, you're crazy trying to do a pop-up on me, Windows. Jesse Kaizan with lighting. Fantastic. We have Iwa with both materials and shading and texturing. Animation with Phil. And then, of course, Wayne Dixon with rigging. And then, yes, yours truly, Kenny Phases with physics. This is my specialty personally, so if you want to learn about that, definitely check that out. And then last but not least, you got to make your renders look good. Sean Kennedy helps you do that with compositing. So would highly suggest the CG Cookie Core Fundamentals of Physics. absolutely fantastic. We worked really hard on this course. And if you guys are really looking to get into Blender more, please check this out. All right. That is all. Guys, have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you in the next live stream.